Well, it's one of the best ways to see the wide range of emerging musical talent in the city of Winnipeg. The 2025 Winnipeg Music Festival is officially underway with performances in a wide variety of disciplines taking place in venues all over the city. Now, you can imagine, given the scale of the Winnipeg Music Festival, that organizing performances by pianists, singers, string players, choirs, percussionists, and more, not to mention organizing adjudications by some of the best clinicians in the country, and organizing the help from an array of volunteers is no small job. In the midst of all of the busyness of the Winnipeg Music Festival, Executive Director Don Bruch-Wiens has found some time to join us live in the Classic 107 studios. How are you doing, Don?
I'm doing well.
Hanging on?
Hanging on. It's early in the morning, but it's all good.
It's all good. How have the first couple of days of the festival been so far?
They've been really fun so far. It's a lot of running around, setting up venues, working with the adjudicators and volunteers. But it's been really wonderful.
This is your first year in this role with the Winnipeg Music Festival as its executive director, and maybe a lot of people listening don't really appreciate the history of the organization that stretches all the way back to 1919.
Yes.
What does it mean for you to be such an integral part of this storied Winnipeg institution?
Well, yes, this organization has been around. This is the 107th Winnipeg Music Festival, and it is a huge deal for me to now be executive director after, I performed in the festival since I was 15. And I got to go to provincials and nationals when I was in my 20s. And it's been a huge part of my life. I've also adjudicated for the Winnipeg Music Festival and had students go in it. So it's a real honor to be in this position now.
Take us back to when you performed in the festival. What were those early experiences like for you, and what did you take from those experiences into your career, not only now with the music festival itself, but also you're a celebrated performer here in the city of Winnipeg with a variety of groups, and you've also been you've been such a keen presence as a singer around Winnipeg. What did you take away from those early festival experiences into your career?
Well, way back in the day, about 30 years ago, when I first started performing at the Winnipeg Music Festival, I was at the Planetarium Auditorium, and I went into, 7 or 8 classes, and it would take, school off. My mom would take holidays, and it was just so fun because I would get to perform, and then I would get adjudication, and my teachers were always really involved, and we'd have, lessons in between and figure out how we could use that feedback to improve throughout the week. So it's kind of this really intense time, but then at the end of it, you come out this improved performer, and there's so much growth in that small period of time. So. Yeah.
So now, and you've been a teacher as well for quite a few years, when you have your students go through the Winnipeg Music Festival, what sort of experience do you hope to curate for them as they go through the festival in turn, given the experience that you yourself had in the Winnipeg Music Festival?
Well, the Winnipeg Music Festival is a competition at the higher levels. So I try to, I work with, in the past, I worked with quite advanced singers.
Yeah.
And now I just have a couple of students at home. But I really try to put value on the experience, on the feedback, on the growth of what you can do between classes, and if you get into the trophy, that's a bonus. But some of my students are really competitive and they want to win too. So So they go that angle, but really it's a great experience for them. It's a great experience for university singers because they get to air out maybe that jury repertoire, their recital repertoire. It's a good time of year for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And no doubt there are students in a wide variety of musical disciplines over the years, all the way back to 1919, that have had that sort of similar track of developing not only their skill sets as musicians, but also that sort of competitive drive to continue to achieve, not necessarily against others, but for themselves. The festival has endured of late a couple of interesting years, as have many artistic organizations, due to things like public health lockdowns. How has the festival been able to bounce back?
Numbers are not where they were pre-COVID, but they are growing. We've seen even growth from last year to this year. The former executive director, Joanne Mercier, she kept the festival going throughout COVID. She did I don't know how she did this now that I'm in this role, but she did a full online festival. I learned all of those skills, which is amazing, as many of us did, I guess.
Yeah.
So she kept it going, and the numbers are going well, and I'm just hoping that they keep increasing year to year, and it's going pretty well.
Nice. As you contemplate the next number of years as an executive director with the festival, what sorts of things are you maybe looking to add to its legacy, and maybe to alter as you notice things and you go, we could maybe do something a little bit differently here. We could maybe add things over here. What sorts of things are exciting to you as you consider the innovations that you could add to this legacy?
That's a good question, Nolan. Right now, I'm trying to survive.
Yeah, right. This is not a question for the midst of the festival.
And then for future years, I had a student perform we have this new class called the Popular Contemporary class, which is a provincial eligible class that is, pop music, can be jazz, just kind of that popular contemporary style, country, all of that stuff. And she performed one of her own compositions, and it was just amazing. She went on to provincials, and she won provincials. And so I'd love to see some sort of, a class stemming from that popular contemporary class to self-composed singer-songwriter stuff. Just because I think it's so cool, and we have such a wealth of singer-songwriters and composers in this city. Another
way for them to workshop their craft as well. Very interesting proposition. What feedback do you hear from the community, the fans of Winnipeg music, the parents of students participating in the festival, the teachers who are sending their students to be a part, much like you have in the past? What feedback are you hearing from them as you contemplate the festival's future?
Well, there are some teachers that are very dedicated to the festival, and they want their students to have all of the opportunities. And if there is another conflict, they really want to make everything work, and so there's teachers that have performed in the festival themselves for many years, and value that experience of growth. So they in turn really care about their students performing and taking part in it.
Yeah. There's, of course, more ways for people to be involved in the music festival, and not just as performers. If people are looking to volunteer, a huge part of the music festival experience, how best can they go about becoming a volunteer at the festival?
Well, we have a volunteer form on our website, www.winnipegmusicfestival.org. If you click on Get Involved, there's a volunteers link there. We have an amazing volunteer coordinator, Nancy Noah Sad, and she is, you can also email her at wmf.volunteers@mts.net. So we would welcome anybody to volunteer, get in our community. It's fun, and I would love to meet any new volunteers.
It seems like there's never enough volunteers around these parts. So any support, I'm sure, would be greatly appreciated. The Winnipeg Music Festival runs until March the 23rd. More information can be found, as Don mentioned, winnipegmusicfestival.org, or by checking out our website and app this morning. Don Bruch-Wiens, Executive Director of the Winnipeg Music Festival, thank you so much for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule to join us here in the Classic 107 studios today.
Thank you so much for having me, Nolan.